There are moments in a war when sound becomes more dangerous than silence. Not shouting, not engines, not gunfire. Just a single, hollow impact, quiet enough to doubt, heavy enough to fear. That was the first sound that cut through the Angels' clubhouse that night. A dull thunk against the wooden door. Not a knock, not a kick. A test. The kind of hit someone uses to measure a man's reaction without committing to the fight. Inside, the room went dead still. Even breath felt loud. The air carried something electric, as if the walls themselves understood that the pressure of the last 40 hours was condensing into one point. California had spent weeks building this moment-mapping routes, manipulating rivals, staging proximity, pushing nerves, splitting loyalty. And now, instead of an explosion, the state had chosen something far more dangerous: anticipation. Two-Tone took a step toward the door, not fast determined. Like a man who believed the only way to stop a threat was to meet it head-on. But little Mike caught his arm. "Wait!" The word cracked in the quiet like breaking glass. Two-Tone's eyes flicked with fire, but beneath that anger there was something deeper: fear that restraint was the same as weakness. Fear that he was letting his brotherhood be cornered without lifting a hand. Sonny watched the moment form like a fracture line. He knew exactly what California wanted. Not violence from the outside, but reaction from the inside. A punch, a shout, a wrong move, anything that could be replayed on a courtroom projector. Anything that justified the next escalation. Anything that let the state say, "See? This is why." The second hit against the door was harder. Not enough to break wood, but enough to break patience. Sonny stepped forward, slow, heavy, calm, and the entire room shifted around that calmness. It wasn't authority. It wasn't bravado. It was clarity. "They're trying to make us answer," he said. "If we answer wrong, they win." The brothers didn't nod, but they stopped moving. In the Angels, silence was agreement. Then came the voice, muffled, flat, emotionless. "Open the door." There was no command in the tone, no urgency, no threat. That made it more frightening. Raids don't ask politely. Raids smash. Raids shout. Raids drown everything in noise. This was psychological. A pressure designed to squeeze every nerve in the room. A micro-hook moment. Then a quiet vibration buzzed from outside. Not inside the clubhouse. Outside. A phone. Someone on the other side was receiving instructions. Sonny didn't flinch, but the brothers saw his expression tighten. "That," he whispered, "is the real clock." Because the knocking wasn't timing anything. The phone was. Someone outside wasn't improvising. They were following a script. Two-Tone whispered, "Back up." Sonny shook his head. No, a cue. That realization changed everything. Because it meant the men outside weren't deciding what happened next. Someone else was. Then a third hit struck the door, this one sharp enough to rattle the frame. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The tension inside the room tightened to a wire. One young prospect took a half step back, another clenched his jaw so hard the muscles jumped along his neck. No one wanted to make the mistake. But everyone felt seconds from one. And that's where most viewers start to fade, so the story spikes here. Suddenly, a silhouette moved under the door. Then another. Boots repositioning, weight shifting, not rushing, coordinating, whispering. The decision had been made outside. At 3:14 a.m., the final warning came. Last chance. Sonny's voice was a low growl. Real raids don't give chances. Let them break it. Because if the state broke the door first, the narrative shifted. If the Angels broke the door, California owned the story. If California broke the door, the Angels owned the truth. The club tightened formation not to fight, but to survive the next 10 seconds without giving the state the spark it had tried so hard to engineer. Then, without another sound, boom, the battering ram slammed into the door with full force. The wood buckled inward. Splinters exploded into the room in a shower of sharp dust. The brothers flinched, not from fear, but from the instinct every man has when something violent enters his space. The next hit obliterated the top hinge. A third blow snapped the entire frame sideways. The door didn't open. It surrendered. Two-Tone's face lit with rage. A younger Angel cursed under his breath. But Sonny didn't move. He stood square, feet planted, shoulders loose like a man staring down a storm rather than running from it. The door burst off its hinges. Blue-white tactical light blasted into the room like a punch made of electricity. Boots flooded across the threshold in perfect formation. Shields up. Helmets forward. Voices shouting commands no one inside could process through the noise and adrenaline. California had finally stepped over the line, but the thing they feared most wasn't police. It wasn't force. It wasn't the raid. It was that the Angels didn't react the way California needed. Not a punch. Not a shove. Not a charge. Just a wall of men standing in place. The first officer through the door locked eyes with Sonny, and Sonny didn't blink. "You finally did it," he said calmly. "This one's on you, because sometimes the winner of a war isn't the one who throws the first blow. It's the one who makes his enemy throw it on camera." And for the first time since this entire pressure campaign began, California lost control of the narrative.